Well, I've been trying to tell these guys that you got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get when certain stuff just don't weigh up. It's a mandatory 1-year sentence when you just get $5 worth of stuff.
Fetty Wap walked out of federal custody on January 8, 2026, after serving just 3 years of a 6-year sentence tied to drug trafficking charges. That alone had the internet buzzing heavy and side-eyeing the whole situation. Almost immediately, rumors started spreading online claiming he cooperated to get out early, even though none of that has been officially confirmed. At the same time, new video clips started popping up showing people connected to his past circling back into the picture. Folks started asking questions fast. Was this payback? Or is this just speculation spiraling out of control? I've got the breakdown of how everything actually went down, so let's get into it. The rapper, whose government name is Willie Jr. Maxwell II, officially walked out of federal custody on January 8, 2026. His original release date was supposed to be sometime in 2029, but good behavior and federal time credits moved that date way up. Because of that, the Bureau of Prisons transitioned him into community confinement, which is basically house arrest for anyone unfamiliar with the system. Right now, Fetty Wap is on supervised release until November 2035, meaning the feds are still watching him closely for years to come. This isn't full freedom like people think it is. The conditions are serious and not to be played with. We're talking random drug testing whenever they want, no opening bank accounts without approval, and every dollar he touches has to be accounted for. No drinking, no substances unless prescribed, and no moving between states without permission. He also has to check in regularly, and an ankle monitor is still a possibility. These aren't friendly suggestions from a probation officer. These are federal mandates with real consequences, and one violation sends him right back behind bars immediately. Supervised release is basically still doing time, just without the cell.
What seems like damn near just a couple of years ago, because it was, holy smokes, we seen 4 letters pop up. This one, home. That's from his official page. Then he goes on to write this. I want to thank my family, friends, and fans for the love, prayers, and continued support. It truly means everything to me.
Fetty later posted home on his IG story and followed it up with a statement shortly after.
My focus is on giving back through my community initiatives and foundation, supporting at-risk young children by expanding access to education, early tech skills, and vision care for young kids and students so they can show up as their best selves. I'm committed to moving forward with purpose and making a meaningful impact where it matters most.
Video clips hit the internet later that afternoon showing Fetty being welcomed back in New Jersey. A lot of people pulled up. Family, longtime friends, and supporters all showed love as he stepped back into the spotlight. The most viral clip showed a full crowd giving him a standing ovation. People were clapping nonstop, yelling and screaming 1738 like it was 2015 all over again. The energy was loud, emotional, and real. These weren't chaos clips or anything reckless. These were straight-up celebration videos, real supporters showing love to someone who had been gone for a long time. The footage was clear as day. No tension, no drama, no issues at all. Just happiness and relief. Their guy made it home, and that mattered. But to really understand how Fetty Wap even ended up in federal custody, you have to rewind the story.
He was arrested yesterday at Citi Field. It was during a music festival in the afternoon before he performed. He's one of 6 indicted for conspiracy to distribute more than 100 kilograms of controlled substances on Long Island and in New Jersey. And those arrested also include a New Jersey correction officer. Officials say Fetty Wap and others involved transported, distributed deadly and addictive drugs, including heroin and fentanyl on Long Island, deliberately contributing to the opioid epidemic.
This didn't start with his January 2026 release. The road from platinum-selling artist to federal inmate was built over years of choices, situations, and consequences stacking up. Fetty Wap was arrested back in October 2021 in Citi Field, New York, and the timing was very intentional. That same day, he was scheduled to perform at Rolling Loud NYC, one of the biggest hip-hop festivals in the world. Thousands of fans were there, expecting to see him touch that stage. Instead, federal agents arrested him along with 6 other individuals after an indictment was unsealed in Queens. The arrest was public, loud, and impossible to ignore. That moment sent a clear message. Authorities wanted maximum visibility. They wanted the industry watching closely to see what can happen when fame and serious charges collide. Prosecutors alleged that Fetty Wap was connected to a bi-coastal drug operation that moved substances from California to New Jersey and Long Island. According to court filings, the operation was active from June 2019 through June 2020. Authorities claimed the organization was responsible for distributing over 100 kilograms of substances, including cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack. That's a serious amount by any standard.
The multi-million-dollar drug distribution used Suffolk County as their home base. We're told the defendants would get drugs on the West Coast and use the U.S. Postal Service and drivers with hidden compartments to transport the drugs across the country to Suffolk County, where they were stored. Fetty Wap's role, according to officials, a kilogram-level redistributor for the trafficking organization.
This federal investigation didn't happen overnight. It stretched on for months and was highly coordinated. This wasn't a random traffic stop or a surprise situation. Law enforcement had been watching, tracking, and building the case step by step. As part of the investigation, federal agents reported recovering roughly $1.5 million in cash, along with drugs, pills, firearms, and ammunition. Officials described the operation as large-scale and organized, not anything close to small-time street activity. This was distribution allegedly moving across multiple states.
Fetty Wap didn't get picked up by the police. He got picked up by the feds. And when the feds show up, that means the case been done for a minute. That wasn't no traffic stops, no random raid. That was a long play. They had the phones tapped, they had people talking, they had routes mapped, they had numbers counted.
At first, Fetty Wap was granted bail and released while awaiting trial, but that freedom didn't last long at all. In August 2022, a judge revoked his bail after prosecutors claimed he violated his release conditions. According to reports, authorities alleged that during a FaceTime call, Fetty made statements that were interpreted as threatening toward another individual. They also claimed a firearm was displayed during the call, and language was used suggesting someone was cooperating with law enforcement. Those allegations raised serious concerns. Federal judges do not take situations like that lightly. Any behavior seen as intimidating or interfering with the legal process can immediately send someone back into custody. And that's exactly what happened next.
The judges stop playing, the deals get ugly, and time starts stacking. And Fetty Wap knew what time it was. Before the jury ever heard shit, he pled guilty. That ain't a flex, that's straight up calculation. That's knowing the evidence ugly and trying to limit the damage. The feds don't bluff when it comes to that F-ball either.
Prosecutors argued that his behavior showed a disregard for the judicial process and raised concerns for public safety. That framing mattered a lot in federal court, where judges take release violations very seriously. In August 2022, Fetty Wap entered a guilty plea to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute and possess controlled substances, specifically involving at least 500 grams of cocaine. That charge came with a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years. The decision to plead guilty wasn't emotional, it was strategic, and fentanyl changed everything. Once fentanyl appears in a federal case, the entire tone shifts. Judges come down much harder when that substance is involved. The opioid crisis has created a zero-tolerance environment in federal courtrooms. Tens of thousands of people lose their lives every year to fentanyl overdoses, and the courts treat it as a top-level threat. That reality makes plea deals much harder to negotiate. Defense attorneys know the moment fentanyl shows up in the paperwork, sentencing risks skyrocket.
He got out because federal math kicked in. Time served, good time, BOP credits, that's how the Fed time worked. Now he's home. But the argument is just starting. Some people are saying, should he pay his debt? Let him live. Others saying, nah, hold on. We need to dig a little bit deeper on here.
Fetty Wap and his legal team clearly understood the landscape. Fighting the case meant risking a much longer sentence if a jury convicted him. Federal prosecutors win the overwhelming majority of trials, especially when they have wiretaps, financial records, physical evidence, and cooperating witnesses. In situations like that, pleading guilty can sometimes be the only move to limit damage. Accepting responsibility can lead to a modest reduction and helps avoid the possibility of a sentence that's double the time. This wasn't about claiming innocence, it was about reading the odds and making a calculated decision. Sentencing was handed down on May 24, 2023 in Central Islip, New York. A federal judge ultimately sentenced Fetty Wap to 6 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. By that point, he had already been in custody since August 2022, so that time counted towards his sentence. During sentencing, prosecutors even referenced his own lyrics, pointing to Trap Queen as evidence they believed showed a long-term connection to drug culture. They argued it reflected familiarity with that world, even though lyrics alone aren't proof of criminal activity. The judge did take several factors into account. His expressions of remorse were noted, along with his responsibilities to his family. Still, the court decided a 6-year sentence was appropriate given the seriousness of the case. Fetty Wap served his time at the Federal Correctional Institution in Sandstone, Minnesota. From August 2022 until his release in January 2026, he spent roughly 3.5 years behind bars. The federal system allows sentence reductions, and his case followed that path. Through good conduct time and participation in programs under the First Step Act, his projected release date kept moving up. Originally, his out date was expected to land around 2029. Good behavior credits shifted that to December 2026. Additional credits earned through program participation pushed it even earlier, landing him in January 2026. Those accumulated credits made him eligible to transfer to community confinement nearly 11 months ahead of the December 2026 date.
The Bureau of Prisons didn't publicly outline his exact credit breakdown, but the system operates on a set formula. Federal inmates can earn up to 54 days per year for good conduct under federal law, plus additional earned time credits for completing educational, vocational, or approved programs. Those credits stack up and directly reduce overall time served. His attorney made it clear back in 2022 that Fetty Wap was not cooperating with federal authorities. The guilty plea stood on its own. There was no testimony against co-defendants and no paperwork filed for substantial assistance. Fetty Wap is currently on house arrest in New Jersey, under the supervision of the Bureau of Prisons through the Philadelphia Residential Re-Entry Management Office. His full release from confinement is projected for November 8, 2026. Until then, he's still under tight control with strict conditions in place. That includes random drug testing, reporting all financial activity, and serious limits on where he can go and what he's allowed to do. This isn't a free pass at all. The system is still very much on him. Of course, the early release instantly set social media on fire. The speculation hit timelines hard and fast. People started asking the same familiar questions. Did Fetty Wap cooperate with federal authorities? Did he trade information for less time? Was his release tied to testimony against others? These questions aren't new in hip-hop culture. Anytime someone gets out early, suspicion comes with it automatically. Reduced sentences spark gossip, and accusations start flying almost immediately whether there's proof or not. The label of snitch carries serious weight in street culture and rap communities. That kind of talk can damage credibility, careers, and even create real safety concerns. In Fetty's piece, the chatter started as far back as his guilty plea in August 2022. Some people saw the plea itself as proof of cooperation. To folks unfamiliar with how federal cases actually work, the logic sounds simple. Why plead guilty unless you're cutting a deal? Why admit guilt unless you're giving something up? But that interpretation misses how federal criminal procedure really operates. A guilty plea does not automatically mean cooperation. There are many reasons defendants choose to plead guilty, and snitching is often not one of them. When prosecutors have overwhelming evidence like wiretaps, surveillance footage, financial records showing unexplained cash flow, and multiple witnesses placing someone at the center of an operation, pleading guilty can be the smartest option available. In those situations, situations, it's about limiting damage, not pointing fingers. At that point, fighting the charges became pointless. Fetty Wap's attorney made it very clear back in 2022 that he was not cooperating with federal authorities at all. The lawyer said it plainly. He was not working with the feds, period.
Now, we was in the shop talking about the Fetty Wap case out of New Jersey. If 5 men on that case outside of him a conspiracy, he already had a domestic violence and a DV. Now, it was 220 grams of H and 10 pounds of fent and also the C. And this man got a sentence of 6 years. That's highly unlikely for a man to get that much less time for that amount of illegal substance in the federal system unless he's working. That's impossible.
The attorney stressed that the guilty plea stood on its own. Fetty admitted to distributing at least 500 grams of cocaine, and that was it. He did not testify against his co-defendants. He did not provide substantial assistance. There was no cooperation agreement attached. He also didn't receive any cooperation discount on his sentence, and the numbers back that up. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and the mandatory minimum for his charge was 5 years. That's barely above the floor. In federal cases, when someone actually cooperates, the difference is usually obvious. Defendants who provide substantial assistance often get dramatic sentence reductions. We're talking sentences well below mandatory minimums. Those defendants usually testify at trials, provide inside information, or help prosecutors build cases against others. In return, prosecutors file motions asking judges for major downward departures.
When I trying to tell you guys that you got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get when certain stuff just don't weigh up. It's a mandatory 1-year sentence when you just get $5 worth of stuff. So you get anything over 5 grams is a mandatory 5-year sentence in the federal system. So how do a person get 5 years, 6 years when it's mandatory 5 years for 5 grams? It's impossible.
That didn't happen here. Fetty Wap received a standard sentence. If he had meaningfully cooperated, the time would likely have been cut much lower. The 1-year increase above the mandatory minimum points to routine sentencing, not cooperation credit. Still, once he touched down, speculation went wild. Social media lit up instantly. Posts started circulating asking the same question over and over. Did Fetty Wap snitch? To some people, the early release looked suspicious. How does someone serve just over 3 years of a 6-year sentence without dropping information? The answer is federal math. Good conduct time and First Step Act credits are standard across the system. Inmates earn those credits by staying disciplinary-free, completing educational programs, and participating in approved activities. Those credits add up over time. They're not rewards for cooperation, they're incentives for positive behavior while incarcerated. Other voices online stepped in to defend Fetty Wap, and the tone shifted fast. One former law enforcement voice posted clearly rejecting the street accusations, saying Fetty Wap handled his situation the right way and didn't bring unnecessary drama with it. That sentiment reflected appreciation that he served his time quietly, without making loud street declarations or feeding accusations. Without the usual chaos that surrounds high-profile releases, Reddit threads started breaking down the difference between snitching and self-preservation. The conversation stayed factual and grounded instead of emotional. One popular comment pointed out that snitching means actively saving yourself by putting others in danger. That same thread noted surprise he received only 6 years, but clarified that pleading guilty to reduce risk is not the same as cooperating against others. It's strategic calculation, not betrayal. To date, no new evidence has surfaced supporting any snitching claims. Court documents show no cooperation agreement. Prosecutors never filed a substantial assistance motion. Co-defendants' cases moved forward without indication that Fetty Wap testified or played a role in their outcomes. The judicial record reflects a straightforward guilty plea and a standard sentence. Speculation might sound loud online, but paranoia is not evidence. The documented facts show that Fetty Wap pled guilty, served the majority of his sentence, earned standard federal credits, and qualified for early release through established programs. This isn't rare or unusual. It happens regularly in the federal system. Still, some social media users argued that 6 years sounded light given the quantities mentioned in the larger case. That led to more suspicion and recycled accusations. But that logic ignores how federal sentencing actually works. Federal sentencing follows guideline calculations. Judges weigh multiple factors, like criminal history, acceptance of responsibility, role in the offense, and drug quantity. Fetty Wap had limited prior criminal history and accepted responsibility early. While the broader conspiracy involved much larger quantities, his personal charge centered on 500 grams of cocaine. The sentencing focused on his specific conduct, not the full scope of the organization. The confusion really comes from a misunderstanding of how federal sentencing works. The charge Fetty Wap pleaded to carried a 5-year mandatory minimum sentence. He received 6 years, which is just 1 year above that minimum. That's not suspicious at all. Judges routinely sentence defendants slightly above mandatory minimums based on guideline calculations and case-specific factors. That extra year likely reflected his role in circumstances, nothing more. If Fetty Wap had actually cooperated, the sentence would have looked completely different. Cooperation cases often result in dramatic reductions. We're talking 2 years, 3 years, or even time served in some situations. 6 years does not signal cooperation. It signals standard sentencing without any discount. Still, snitch allegations continue to bounce around online echo chambers. Social media amplifies speculation fast, but loud repetition doesn't turn rumors into facts. The documented record directly contradicts those theories. His attorney publicly denied any cooperation. Prosecutors never filed cooperation motions. The sentence reflects routine federal calculations. Co-defendants' cases showed no impact from his testimony because there was no testimony at all. Despite that, the allegations kept dominating online conversations. That's actually unusual for a high-profile case like this. Normally, accusations spread instantly and aggressively. The lack of widespread, credible claims suggests these rumors don't have much foundation. Since coming home, Fetty Wap appears focused on moving forward. His public statements emphasized community, work, family, and making a meaningful impact. That doesn't sound like someone stressed about street credibility. Those are the words of someone trying to rebuild life after serious consequences, real pressure, and past conflicts. Beyond the fake death rumors, hoaxes, and unfounded snitch talk, there's a bigger question people keep circling. Does Fetty Wap face real threats now that he's back home? To understand that, you have to look at his history in the rap game, past tensions, and where his relationships stand today. So far, there have been no credible reports of any active threats against Fetty Wap since he returned home on January 7, 2026. Searches tied to alleged threats this year only bring up a 2022 incident, and that situation involved Fetty Wap making a statement towards someone he believed was cooperating, which ultimately led to his bail being revoked. That was him issuing a threat, not receiving one, and the distinction matters. Looking back, Fetty Wap's past does include real conflicts. In 2017, tensions in his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, escalated heavily. A rap-related dispute turned into serious street conflict, with violence tied to long-standing local rivalries that existed well before his federal case. Those situations carried real consequences and weren't internet drama, but they also happened years ago. Since then, a lot has changed. Fetty spent several years incarcerated, while others involved either moved on, faced their own legal issues, or shifted focus entirely. Those old conflicts appear dormant today. There were also business-related disputes. A former collaborator filed a lawsuit over royalties, highlighting financial disagreements that are common in the music industry. Those situations can create tension, but they usually play out in courtrooms, not in the streets. Then came family drama, and that popped off fast.
Within 24 hours of his release, the mothers of his children publicly called him out on social media. Harsh words were exchanged, and one post questioned why there were videos of his release, but none showing him reconnecting with his kids. The comments were blunt and very public, but these were verbal disputes centered around co-parenting, child support, and accountability, not threats of physical harm. That distinction is important. Family conflict can bring stress, embarrassment, and pressure, but it doesn't automatically translate into violence. These were mothers demanding responsibility for their children, not rivals plotting attacks. And with that context, the bigger picture becomes clear. Fetty Wap's return hasn't been marked by credible danger, but by unresolved relationships, past consequences, and the challenge of rebuilding after everything he's been through. Social media criticism did pop up, mostly aimed at Fetty Wap's past involvement in drug distribution. One former user posted comments blaming him for harm to the youth and criticizing his role in pushing dangerous substances. That kind of reaction is moral condemnation, not a threat. It reflects anger about the damage caused by drug trafficking, which is a legitimate critique of someone tied to that world. If real threats were floating around, they'd likely show up online. Platforms like X, Instagram, and others are where tensions usually surface first. Rivals speak, warnings get posted, and conflicts go public long before anything physical happens. But searches tied to Fetty Wap bring up celebration clips, family disputes, and criticism, not direct danger. Even major media coverage supports that. TMZ's reporting focused strictly on his release details and future plans. No talk of security concerns, no mention of protection, nothing signaling imminent danger. The New York Post did the same, covering the mechanics of his early release and house arrest conditions only. If real threats existed, outlets like that would flag it immediately. Their silence speaks volumes. The welcome home videos also matter. They showed open crowds, public celebrations, and no signs of fear. If Fetty Wap believed he was in immediate danger, those kinds of public moments would have been risky. His comfort in those settings suggests he doesn't perceive a serious threat right now. Some former law enforcement voices even framed his release as a moment of respect, not conflict. One post highlighted the standing ovations and the love he received. The sentiment focused on how he carried himself during his bid. How you move while locked up matters. Fetty Wap did his time quietly. No loud statements, no extra drama, no escalating beefs from behind bars. That kind of approach doesn't guarantee safety, but it definitely lowers tension. People who stay composed during legal trouble often come home facing less hostility. Now, the bigger question shifts. What's next for his career? His legal issues unfolded against the backdrop of a career that had already stalled. To understand where he stands now, you have to rewind to how fast things once moved. Back in 2015, Fetty Wap was everywhere. Trap Queen dominated the charts and the culture. That track peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it was everywhere. It sparked countless remixes and covers, and helped push melodic trap into the mainstream. Fetty Wap didn't just ride a wave, he influenced one. An entire generation of artists followed that sound. He came right back with 679 and My Way, dropping hit after hit in rapid succession. The momentum was crazy. He earned 2 Grammy nominations, and his debut album, Fetty Wap, went platinum. Then it stalled. The assessment that followed was harsh but widely shared. Fetty Wap had undeniable hits, but many felt he never locked in as a long-term top-tier artist. He had a moment, a powerful one, but it didn't stretch into sustained dominance. By the time he was arrested in 2021, his music career had already faded significantly. So what happened?
His music went quiet. It went straight up. It just, nobody was listening to that shit no more. The hit stopped, the buzz dried up, the sound moved on. But by the time he touched the cell, Fetty wasn't even competing with no new rappers. His ass was already done. So really, he's competing with his own self. So prison don't pause your music career like we always see. It does erase a little bit of momentum, but the algorithm don't care about your case, playlists don't care about your struggle, and nostalgia only goes so far.
Several factors stacked up. The sound that made him famous became oversaturated. Other artists adopted the same melodic trap style, and the market moved on to new trends fast. Fetty Wap didn't evolve quickly enough to stay ahead of the curve. His later releases struggled to recapture the energy of Trap Queen. On top of that,
personal tragedy hit hard. In 2021, he released the Butterfly Effect mixtape, dedicating it to his 4-year-old daughter, who passed away that June due to cardiac arrhythmia. That kind of loss is devastating. Grief changes everything. While some artists turn pain into fuel, others struggle just to stay afloat creatively. Around that same time, the pandemic shut the industry down. Touring, which is a major income source for artists, disappeared overnight. Streaming pays, but touring sustains careers. Artists who depended on live shows felt it the most. With declining music sales and no touring money, financial pressure mounted fast. That context helps explain his decisions, even if it doesn't excuse them.
Listen, man, shout out to Fetty Wap, bro. Shout out to him, Me personally, on the music tip, I don't necessarily think it's over, but I think if he tries to go back and recreate that sound, I think that's going to be gone. He can add elements of that shit, but the question is, who's going to embrace him? Who is good enough in the rap game to embrace him? Because if I'm Drake, Iceman ain't came out yet. Get Fetty Wap on the hook on the beginning song. Fetty Wap, you know what to do. First Day Out the Feds, Part 2.
Now, Fetty Wap faces an even tougher challenge, rebuilding from a weaker position with less momentum and far more to prove. The music industry is ruthless. 3 years away might not sound long, but in this business, that's an eternity. Trends flip fast, new artists pop up daily, and audiences move on without looking back. Streaming algorithms reward constant drops and non-stop engagement, so disappearing for years puts any artist at a serious disadvantage. Nostalgia does help to a point. Trap Queen is still a cultural moment. People remember 2015. They remember how that era felt, and that memory still hits. But nostalgia alone doesn't build a sustainable career anymore. The reality points toward a different path forward.
We don't give a damn about your personal life, bro. We don't. We care about a time in our personal life when your music hit for us and created a moment, and then we listen to it and now we get nostalgic about it. We care about growth in your music. We don't give a shit about you, the person. You don't give a shit about us. You care about providing what the fans or people who support your music like, and the fans and supporters care about the music. That's the problem with these entertainers, because not one point in time do y'all sit up here and really give back. Hell no, y'all don't. Y'all get sponsors, y'all get people to help out. Not saying that you should spend your own cash.
Fetty Wap can't just recreate that lightning in a bottle moment. That chapter is closed, but he could still tap into parts of his signature sound and blend it into something new. The real question is who's willing to ride with him now? Will established artists want to feature him? Will producers invest time and resources? Will labels take the risk and sign him? Those answers aren't guaranteed. His legal history complicates everything. Some artists and labels avoid working with people fresh out of federal custody. The stigma, the restrictions, and the potential complications create hesitation. At the same time, not everyone sees it the same way. Some respect that he did his time. Some see a comeback story. Others may view him as someone with lived experience and a perspective worth hearing. That's the crossroads Fetty Wap is standing at right now. Whether he fades quietly or finds a second chapter depends on how he moves next. This perspective reflects a brutal truth. Fans ultimately care about music, not personal redemption stories. Fetty Wap talking about community work and helping youth is admirable, but that alone doesn't translate into streams, sales, or chart success. People will support the music if they actually vibe with the music. His personal growth matters deeply to him and his family, but the market runs on different rules. That disconnect explains why some criticism still follows him. There's also discomfort that can't be ignored. Some people struggle with celebrating someone whose wealth came in part from distributing drugs. Fetty Wap wasn't just using substances, he admitted to distributing them. That reality makes the conversation complicated. The case involved large quantities, including cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack. Fentanyl in particular has devastated communities nationwide. Tens of thousands of lives are lost every year due to overdoses, and for many people, celebrating anyone connected to that crisis feels wrong. That means Fetty Wap has to earn attention the hard way. fly, through music that's strong enough to stand on its own. Nostalgia gives him a temporary platform. Curiosity around his return will spark early interest, but sustaining a career requires delivering songs people actually want to replay, not just talk about once. Whether he can do that remains uncertain. On top of that, his supervised release adds real challenges. Random drug testing, financial transparency, and restrictions on movement limit his freedom. Studio sessions, travel, performances, and business meetings all require approval from his probation officer. That makes operating as a professional artist more complicated than ever. So now the real test begins. If you made it this far, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe Fetty Wap can make a real comeback, or is his moment officially over? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this breakdown, and make sure you click one of the videos on your screen to keep watching. I'll see you in the next one.